Associates, we are a study group that would like to start a bookkeeping cooperative because, as we know, with the cooperative economy, we still have to keep track of whether or not we're making money and comply with laws and regulations. I would probably say my life experience would be that I am one of 13 children, so we had to learn to cooperate at home, just to get out the front door, or to even have a meal when you have 6 chairs. You know, you have to hurry up and eat so the next group can sit down. And just for the record, I love to eat. What I bring with my work experience is that I'm an office manager and a bookkeeper at a housing cooperative here in Philadelphia. And I truly get to see collective economics keep the costs down for the members to live affordably and also peacefully amongst one another, because they share those values of a democratic process, one vote per member. They believe in educating the community so that everyone is aware of what's going on, and they can grow and learn and also serve as leaders in the co-op. I guess the other value just may be my value. That's compassion and love, to treat people the way you want to be treated.
Hi, Kirtrina Baxter with Soul Generation, and so the question, I thought about the question, for a minute now, and I was thinking that not many people know that my dad is a pastor. So growing up in the Black church is really one of the things that is consistent with us as cooperative is cooperatively living, right? So economics, practicing cooperative economics and everything we did, we were pretty much building a church my whole entire childhood. We were about fundraising. So we sold everything from sneakers to sweet potato pies, chicken dinners, hats for women in church. So I've been selling collectively with people all my life. And so it just makes sense to me, understanding that, growing up with these values of my mother had 12 siblings in her family too. So, we look forward to when cousins came over because they brought bags of clothes and we repurposed consistently, right? That's a new word, repurposing. And so that is part of everything that I grew up with. That's why I did it.
I'm just I just want us to remind our panelists, including myself, to be mindful of our pace as we're talking, because this interpretation is not very good as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Lan Dinh. It's an honor to be here on this panel to represent a bunch of different of the cooperative study groups. I'm representing VietLead in the house. And Soul Generation. So I think really similar to what Annette and Kirtrina had mentioned about, I think the values of growing up. I came from a family of Vietnamese refugees in the U.S. And similar stories to a lot of folks in our study group. I think the values of cooperation were necessary to our survival in the new country. It was necessary because of not having any economic safety net before to put all of our resources together so that we can have the basic needs of food, of housing, of jobs. So I think those are definitely some of the values that I am bringing into this work, and our members are. I think another value that I've been thinking about as I was thinking about Jamila's question is the value of land. So my family are farmers from Vietnam, and growing up, the term cooperative, hợp tác xã, it was seen as a really dirty word. And so, even going into this study group, I was grappling with, why is it such a dirty word? And, I think it's definitely connected to the anti-communism of South Vietnamese refugees who came into the U.S. But it was difficult for me to see though when we practice so much informal cooperation, right? Everything we do is cooperation. Why was it that when we put a term to it, a formal structure, that it was so stigmatized? And it was through the study group that we had some time to study about the legacy of cooperatives in Vietnam. And it made me think back to my grandmother, she was one of the settlers in our hometown, our village, after the breakage of the North and South in Vietnam. And one of the stories, she died at a young age, but one of the stories that people always say is she died from depression from land. And it's because her land was, she was an amazing farmer. She had papaya, pineapple, coconut trees. And she was one of the first settlers to the whole entire area. And then about 2 years after she resettled, there was a policy, a law in 1956, the U.S. Ordinance with the Lan Dinh presidency that they redistributed land in Vietnam. This happened in the north and the south. In the north, it was equitable. The land was taken from the wealthy elite and given back to the poor. In the south, where the U.S. was supporting the Vietnamese government, was really corrupt. My grandmother's land was taken, completely unfairly distributed, and people said that she died because she was so sad because her land was taken. And I say that story because I also want to bring in the value of complications and contradictions in this work that we do, and the importance of honoring our past and the struggles of our ancestors in order to really inform how we really want to build this really fair economic system that isn't repeating oppressive systems, and that when we talk about cooperatives and economics, we always remember back to the land as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Bueno, mi nombre es Ricardo Nolasco, soy mexicano. A través del tiempo, la vida nos va enfrentando muchos obstáculos.
Hello, my name is Ricardo Nolasco and I'm from Mexico, and throughout life we are confronted with many obstacles.
Particularmente en mi vida he enfrentado algunas situaciones sociales como lo que es la vivienda. Participé en unos movimientos sociales en mi país en cuanto a la repartición de tierras, como dice ahí, todo esto con la gente más pobre, la comunidad que estaba a mi alrededor. Yo también soy campesino, de origen campesino.
I participated in some of the social movements in my country, and some of them around housing and also land. I come from I'm a farm worker as well.
En esa ocasión, de acuerdo a las leyes de mi país, se ganó a favor de la comunidad. A mí me tocó trazar calles, poner nombres a calles de esa colonia, actualmente que cuenta con todos los servicios, y viven más de 200 familias, y para mí es una satisfacción haber logrado esto a favor de la comunidad.
And there were some laws that actually benefited the community, and it was actually part of my job to work on some of the like infrastructure and naming streets, and there was also really good services in our town, and this benefited over 200 families.
También participé en varios despidos injustificados de compañías, empresas grandes como armadoras de vehículos, que la gente pedía apoyo por haber sido despedidos, y luchaban por su pago o su indemnización correspondiente.
And I also supported workers that were unjustly fired from companies assembling cars, and we worked on getting their back wages or getting their wages owed back to them.
Posteriormente, al venir a este país, me empecé a dar cuenta de que efectivamente hay mucha opresión y mucha explotación de mucha gente. Y específicamente, cuando yo empecé a trabajar, ganaba $300 por 6 días, trabajando 12 horas diarias. Por 6 días, 12 horas diarias. 12 horas.
So coming here, I realized that there's a lot of oppression and exploitation of many people. I used to earn $300 a week, and I would work 6 days a week and 12-hour days.
Me di cuenta rápidamente que eso era una explotación hacia los trabajadores. En ese lugar trabajamos aproximadamente 40 trabajadores.
I realized that workers were being exploited at that place, and there was approximately 40 workers.
Posteriormente llegó una unión y el patrón despidió a la persona que estaba organizando para que tuviéramos unión de trabajadores.
So a union arrived, and the employers fired the union organizer.
Desafortunadamente, después del despido, por azares del destino, me tocó involucrarme y yo tuve que llamar al departamento del trabajo y enfrentar al patrón y ganamos que se reduciera el horario del trabajo a 8 horas y que se les dieran mayores comodidades a los trabajadores.
So after the organizer was fired, the worker who was organizing us was fired, I jumped in, and I ended up calling the Department of Labor, and we ended up winning an 8-hour workday.
Entonces, al contacto con las diversas personas a través de mi vida, pues recibo muchas historias de explotación en los trabajos, incluso acoso en el caso de las mujeres, y yo considero que eso está mal, ¿no? Es injusto, y debemos de luchar todos juntos y poner algo todos los días para erradicar o tratar de terminar esta explotación y este acoso hacia las mujeres.
So throughout my life, I've had different types of connections with different people. I realized that there's a lot of exploitation, and there's sexual harassment towards women. I think that that's very unjust. I think that we all need to work together and fight together to eradicate the different types of exploitation.
También tengo algunos amigos de Filipinas que me invitaron a apoyarlos en una lucha que tenían con China. Era acerca de las aguas territoriales de Filipinas. Entonces eso se llevó a un juicio en la Corte Internacional de la Organización de las Naciones Unidas. Yo participé apoyándolos y se dio la sentencia favorable de que sí, efectivamente pertenecen a Filipinas, 200 millas náuticas como todos los países, y tienen que respetar China.
I also have some friends that are from the Philippines, and I joined their struggle for water rights. And there was this issue was taken up in the courts in the UN, and they won the rights to 200 miles of water that they have access to.
Ahora aquí estamos, debido a todas esas explotaciones de mis amigos que me platican, Estoy participando en la formación de esta cooperativa, capacitándome con las instrucciones que nos ha dado PACA y espero llevar a un punto o a un nivel esta cooperativa donde mucha gente sea beneficiada y no explotada, que es lo que finalmente queremos.
So due to seeing all the different exploitations that my friends experience, I am participating here in the co-op, and I'm getting different trainings from PACA, and I want our co-op to grow and to put an end to exploitation of workers.
Thank you.
Ok, agradezco a todos el tiempo que me brindaron en escucharme y espero que todos tengan éxito en sus proyectos y que hagan con eso una mejor forma de vivir para todos los humanos. Gracias.
I'm really grateful for the time that I was given and that you listened, and I wish everyone a success with all their co-ops so that we can benefit of humankind.
So there's clearly a wealth of experience and wisdom up on the stage. Thank you all for sharing the stories. Coming into this work, and I think picking up on what Ricardo was talking about regarding exploitation and the different types of oppressions that we all encounter every day, that there is this tension, right, to try to dissolve and fight back and resist these things that are holding us back, while finding the energy to create new things, finding the energy to be harmonious, finding the energy and the willingness to come together across our differences to build the world that we want to live in. And so the question that I have for the panelists, and Kirtrina, maybe I'll start with you to answer, is how do you see this balance of building a new economic infrastructure while resisting the current oppressive systems that are a part of our lives?
So I think throughout my time thinking about how we afford ourselves for liberation, a lot of course we all have a lot of conflict around how do we staying in the system and how we provide for our families as well as thinking long term. And so so one of the things that I think about consistently in the work that I'm doing currently is making sure that I am working right now in a very radical way, but also looking forward and looking towards revolutionary acts. So I think about working simultaneously in both ways and not just one way. So sometimes we see our work as reformists. However, understanding that we are here in a part of the system now, but also if I feel like if I'm working with these things, but also working towards the future, that I'm still putting in, good work towards what I want to see in the future for my children and my family. So it's sort of like like balancing, understanding that we have to participate in the system and having that knowledge and that understanding, but also knowing that we're working actively towards a different system, towards something better for us, makes me feel good about, what I'm putting into the system now, and also making sure that whatever I'm doing now is something that makes me feel good. So I'm not participating in the system currently in a haphazardly way, but making sure that however I am participating in the system, this current system that we're in, is something that I feel good about.
Yeah. What wants to answer next? It looks like you're ready.
Okay. So I would say that, of course, I'm a bookkeeper by trade, and I've worked for private companies as well as nonprofits. And so I can see where resources can be used to make life better for all of us, but yet at the same time, I see where people can be greedy and selfish and want everything for themselves. I try to I guess, spend my money with people who are going to invest back in me. If there is something that I can buy locally or from a vendor that looks like me or would employ me, then that is where I spend my money. I belong to a credit union, and I just know capitalism. And I see now that if you don't have the right leadership, it's not going to work for the masses. But at the same time, I know that if I'm educated and believe in the power that we have collectively, the power of people to vote, to choose leaders, and to even run for leadership positions locally, statewide, and nationally, then that would be a form of resistance, and a chance to talk about the co-op economy and show that there is an alternative to capitalism. I don't really understand how the system works, so I think in order to resist, I need to be informed. The way the system is now that we live in, and then learning more about the collective economics of the co-op. So I do believe in resisting. I will speak out if I don't think something is right. And I know that the people do have the power. We just have to educate one another, express our views, respect one another, and truly resist the powers that currently be, because they are not looking out for our best interests.
So at VietLead is a grassroots nonprofit, and we believe that our community is at a lot of different places, politically, materially, emotionally, everywhere. And because of that, because we know that we cannot build our liberation alone, because we cannot achieve a different economy, a different world, just for ourselves and just by ourselves, that we believe in meeting our community where they are. So what does that look like? So we provide direct services. We provide translation assistance with Medicare, Medicaid, economic assistance. And at the same time, we don't stop there. We use those as entry points to push our community to think deeper. So, why is this a chronic thing that's happening in our community? Why is poverty chronic? We use that as a way to then do political education for our community to move our community towards a more progressive lens and action. So how we also do this, we do political education with our youth and our adults and families. And we also do, we also contest for power still. So this is, looking at school control. This is looking at electoral organizing. And also, how can we also build the world and, create another vision while we're contesting? And that's where we do our cooperative work. And that's where we do land work. That's where we do our community gardening work. So we believe in meeting our community where we're at, and also at the same time build towards a more revolutionary future.
Bueno, yo creo que debemos entender lo que es el ciclo económico, lo que es la producción, distribución, intercambio y consumo, primeramente, y
I think that first we need to understand the economic cycle and understand this, also how we consume.
Porque todas las empresas y compañías están a la expectativa de qué manera van a atrapar el dinero a su favor, y sin importar las personas. A mí mismo me tocó ver cómo en una guerra de precios se hizo quebrar a una compañía que tenía varias, que era existente en todo el país.
I think that companies really are focused much more on money, and they don't really care about people. I used to work at a company where they shifted their prices, and they ended up closing down, and they were a company that was all over the country.
Entonces, tenemos de enfatizarnos o poner atención en esto, de lo que están haciendo las compañías o qué es lo que está pasando. Y nosotros, si vamos a participar como cooperativa, pues tenemos que estar a la altura y competir con ellos. Sabemos que hay gigantes a nuestro alrededor, pero también nosotros, informándonos y preparándonos, podemos ser una competencia para cualquier compañía.
So we need to pay attention. We need to pay attention on how these companies are functioning, and being part of the co-op, we need to know that we can actually compete. We know that these companies are huge, they're giant, but the more we keep ourselves informed and prepared, the better we can compete with them.
Solo así, capacitándonos, vamos a ganar en cualquier área que trabajemos, y con ello vamos a estar bien nosotros y la gente de nuestra cooperativa.
So by training ourselves, we will win, and we're going to help ourselves, but we're also going to help folks in our co-op.
Bueno, eso es lo que yo pienso.
Thank you. So, Annette, you talked about leadership as a form of resistance. And it made me think about you all having participated in the study circles over the last 6 months. I was wondering if you all could speak to where you see cooperative leadership in your experience, or how you see that through the lenses of your participation in the 2020 program, and how that influences how you're working cooperatively, but also what that results in. Yeah. I was wondering if you could talk about the idea of leadership as resistance, and having participated in the 2020 program in your study circles, how has leadership showed up in your study circles? And leading cooperatively may look different than leading in other areas of our lives. And so I'm also wanting you to talk a little bit about that and how that relates to leadership as resistance.
Bueno, yo creo que todo líder en cualquier parte del mundo tiene que tener ciertas características, y también estudiar lo que está pasando y de lo que el tema de lo que se está hablando, porque imagínense, a lo mejor alguien tiene experiencia en medicina, pero yo no sé absolutamente nada de medicina. Entonces, si nosotros nos vamos a enfocar en una cooperativa de venta o de producción, pues tenemos que estudiar bastante el área, no solo para